Hello everyone, and welcome to my BNB24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Hope Logan Spencer, the woman who has always carried the weight of her family's legacy, her mother's expectations, and her own tumultuous emotions, is the focal point of this stunning storyline in The Bold and the Beautiful. The storyline takes an emotional and unexpected turn. The Forrester Creations design office is the setting for this episode, Hope's shocking baby news, and a tearful goodbye to the Forresters, which commences with a sense of stillness. Hope is depicted standing alone in the brilliant, sterile glow of the studio lights, with one palm resting protectively on her abdomen. Her ears are still ringing from the news she received from Dr. Martin at the hospital. She is expectant. But the unexpected twist, one that will send shockwaves through every family in Los Angeles, is that the father may not be the man anyone anticipates. Hope's trembling palms clutch the pregnancy report like it is both a miracle and a curse, and the emotional temperature is already soaring at the start of the episode. Until Brooke Logan surges through the office doors, her heels clicking like gunfire on the polished floors, the air is heavy with silence. She demands to know what has her daughter so shaken. Hope endeavors to maintain her composure, however, when she finally whispers, "Mom, I'm pregnant," Brooke's face freezes in a combination of disbelief, dread, and an almost maternal pride that she is unable to conceal. However, Hope's subsequent words, which were scarcely audible, struck Brooke to the core: it may not be Thomas's baby. This disclosure initiates a cascade of events that disseminates throughout the Spencer, Logan, and Forrester families like a conflagration. Brooke, who is still plagued by her own decades of scandal, implores Hope to exercise caution, consider her reputation, and recall the precarious equilibrium between forgiveness and judgment in the Forrester world. After the Beth saga, after losing Liam, and after choosing independence over chaos, she reminds her daughter of the lengthy journey she took to rebuild her image. However, Hope, with tears streaming down her face, maintains that she is not embarrassed, rather, she is frightened. The scene transitions to Thomas Forrester, who is at his drafting table, sketching designs for the upcoming Hope for the Future collection. He is completely unaware that his existence is about to be upended once more. He has recently discovered a sense of tranquility, a rhythm of redemption and concentration, and even Ridge has observed that his son appears to have undergone a genuine transformation. However, Thomas's anxiety is reignited when Zend enters the office with the rumor that Hope appeared pale and was hurriedly dismissed from a doctor's appointment. He takes his jacket and proceeds to Hope's office, his mind whirling with every conceivable scenario. When he finally sees her standing with Brooke, holding a sonogram photo, he experiences a simultaneous sense of elation and dread. He murmurs her name, Hope, but the expression in her eyes indicates that there is an issue. The scene intensifies with a visceral sense of anxiety as Hope discloses that she is uncertain as to whether the infant is Finn Finnegan's or her own. The entire studio falls silent when she confesses that, weeks prior, she found herself relying on Finn following a heartbreaking argument with Thomas, during one of the most emotionally confusing evenings of her life. In the aftermath of Sheila's near-death and Steffi's temporary disappearance, Hope and Finn had shared a quiet connection that was based on mutual compassion and shared moral integrity. However, they had comforted one another in a moment of intolerable weakness. The confession appears to be impossible. The events of that evening were not the outcome of premeditated passion, but rather of grief, exhaustion, and yearning. Finn, who was crushed by the weight of his mother's darkness and Steffi's distress, sat beside Hope in the hospital chapel, where they both prayed for strength. Hope's tearful recollection of that night is both raw and profoundly human. The camera remains in place as she recollects his hand brushing hers, their tears blending with murmured words of understanding. Before they knew it, one error had sealed their fate. Thomas's response is catastrophic. He stumbles back, his voice breaking as he shouts, "You slept with Finn?" A sentence that resonates throughout the office like thunder. Brooke attempts to be a mediator, imploring Thomas not to react violently. However, his anguish is akin to a volcano. In this moment, his efforts to demonstrate that he was no longer manipulative and his reformed heart seemed to be meaningless. He accuses Hope of betraying him and using him as a stepping stone in her endless cycle of shattered loyalties. The scene intensifies when Ridge enters, perplexed by the commotion, only for the truth to be revealed in his presence. Upon learning that Hope may be carrying Finn's child and that it has the potential to disrupt his daughter Steffi's marriage, Ridge's wrath is overwhelming. The patriarch's protective instincts are roused, and he resolves to inform Steffi immediately. Brooke implores him to delay, contending that it is not his responsibility to disclose the information. However, Ridge is adamant that Steffi is entitled to the truth. Steffi is blissfully oblivious of the storm that is forming at the Cliff House. She is enthusiastic about the prospect of a family dinner with Kelly and Hayes, as her life has finally stabilized after months of turmoil. She even sends Finn a text message stating, "Dinner is prepared, my love, please hurry home." However, Finn appears to be conflicted after receiving a mysterious message from Hope requesting that he meet her alone before she departs town. He rationalizes that it is likely related to Thomas's designs or the Foundation. However, his instincts indicate that it is more profound. Hope is quivering when he encounters her at the small outdoor cafe located near the hospital. She presents him with a small envelope that contains the prenatal photo. Finn's visage becomes devoid of color upon encountering it. As he confesses, "Hope, tell me this isn't what I think it is," his voice falters. Hope's eyes well up with tears as she discloses all, the test results, the timing, the degree of uncertainty. Finn's pulse is racing as he realizes that the night he sought comfort could have changed everything, and he is overwhelmed with guilt and disbelief. His desire to act in accordance with the law is fervent, however, he is acutely aware that Steffi's response could irreparably harm their family. The emotional epicenter of the episode occurs when Hope visits Forrester Creations for the final time, with the intention of bidding farewell. She has made the difficult decision to depart from Los Angeles. The scandal will be too much to bear, and she is unwilling to subject her children, Finn, or Thomas to another public controversy. The Forrester family as a whole convenes, including Taylor, who has returned from Europe in response to the startling news. The confrontation is a source of great distress. Steffi's fury toward Hope is akin to a volcano. She accuses her of exploiting vulnerable males and destroying families. "You have done it once more, Hope. You deprived me of my husband's tranquility, and now you may have taken his child." Hope does not respond. Rather, she discreetly presents Steffi with a folded letter that is addressed to Finn and states, "I have never intended to cause anyone harm. Kindly ensure his well-being." The camera follows Hope to the airport, where she sits in stillness at the departure gate as Steffi tears open the letter later that night. She gazes at the Los Angeles skyline, reflecting on her life, the fashion shows, the romantic entanglements, the births, and the losses. The subsequent flashbacks are reminiscent of the classic montage brilliance of Bold and the Beautiful, Liam's initial embrace of Beth, Thomas's declaration of love, Finn's solace in the chapel, Brooke's childhood hairbrushing, and Ridge's voice echoing, "You are a member of this family, Hope." Each memory serves as both a blessing and a farewell. Finn reads Hope's letter at the Cliff home. Her words are both poetic and agonizing. "Even if this child is yours, I will raise it with love and honesty, even if it is raised from afar. However, I am unable to remain in this location and cause further harm to another family. Steffi is deserving of your affection." The letter concludes with a haunting line, "Sometimes love means walking away before it consumes you. I have always simply desired serenity." The subsequent sequences are a masterclass in emotional storytelling for B&B. Brooke visits Eric, weeping and heartbroken, confessing that she has once again failed her daughter. Ridge, on the other hand, provides solace to Steffi as she weeps in Finn's embrace, despite her innate suspicion that he may be deceiving her. Finn is ensnared between loyalty and truth, as his conscience contends with his apprehension of losing Steffi. Liam is in a state of disbelief when he receives the news from Brooke. He remains devoted to Hope and is determined to locate her prior to her departure. The soap's cinematic finale is served by Liam's pursuit through the airport. As Hope prepares to board her flight to Italy, the same location where her fashion aspirations originated, Liam runs through the terminal. His breathless plea, "Please, Hope, do not leave," occurs when he captures her at the gate. you are not the only one experiencing this. She trembles in her resolve. She turns, her face streaked with weeping, and whispers, Liam, it's too late. I must do this for myself, for them, and for all of us. However, the baby kicks for the first time when he reaches out and places his hand on her midsection, and their shared expression is one of painful hope. The screen fades to black as the closing credits roll, revealing her tearful expression and the chilling narration. One secret baby could destroy everything the Forresters have built, and nothing will ever be the same again. The writers of The Bold and the Beautiful deliver layers of repercussions that reverberate across all families in the aftermath. The Logans are torn, Brooke is inclined to safeguard Hope, Donna is advocating for composure, and Katie is uncertain as to whether Hope should disclose the truth following the paternity results. The Forresters descend into anarchy as Ridge attributes Brooke's Logan curse to her, while Taylor defends Hope's humanity. Steffi's paranoia drives her to the brink of obsession, as she is compelled to uncover the truth, even if it means discreetly ordering a DNA test behind Finn's back. Thomas, on the other hand, is torn between love and betrayal, and he descends into despair. Upon learning of the scandal, Bill Spencer becomes intrigued, recognizing an opportunity in the midst of its turmoil. He observes the anguish in Liam's eyes and resolves to assist in the return of Hope, not out of selflessness, but because he perceives her infant as a potential connection to the Spencer bloodline. The rivalry between Bill and Ridge has resurfaced, evoking decades of animosity. In the extended arc, the emotional burden intensifies as the weeks progress. Hope's life abroad becomes a new narrative as she reconstructs herself in Milan, finding solace in design and quiet contemplation, but haunted by the sound of her unborn child's heartbeat. Her letters to Brooke and Douglas disclose her persistent anxiety, her affection for the family she has abandoned, and her aspiration that the truth will be revealed at some point. The show deftly interweaves flashbacks, dreams, and visions, depicting Hope imagining Finn holding their child while concurrently showcasing Finn at home, lost in contemplation, gazing out the window, his own heartbeat echoing the one on the monitor months ago. The stage is set for another explosion that will rip through Los Angeles and test every bond, love, family, and forgiveness, when Steffi eventually finds the envelope Hope left behind, with a second test result confirming Finn is the father. In the final analysis, this narrative encapsulates the most profound themes of The Bold and the Beautiful, the human desire for tranquility in the midst of pandemonium, the fragility of love, and the constraints of redemption. Hope's shocking baby news, and a tearful goodbye to the Forresters is not merely an episode, it serves as an emotional turning point for the entire series. It requires Brooke and Ridge to confront the haunting realization that history has repeated itself, redefines Hope's legacy, shifts Finn's moral center, and challenges Steffi's strength. It is a narrative that explores the themes of grace, sacrifice, temptation, and motherhood. The conclusion leaves the audience in a state of awe, uncertain as to whether Hope's departure is permanent or merely the tranquility preceding the next tempest. Because in The Bold and the Beautiful, farewells are never actually the conclusion, they are merely the beginning of another unforgettable, beautiful, and heartbreaking chapter. Heavy clouds loom over Los Angeles the following morning, casting a muted gray hue that resembles the storm that is developing beneath the Forrester roof. The mansion is in a state of eerie silence and coldness, as if the walls are recollecting the shouting and tears that reverberated through its stately hallways the previous evening. Ridge is alone in Eric's study, swirling a tumbler of untouched whiskey. His gaze is fixated on a framed photo of his family, which includes Steffi, Thomas, and a smiling Hope from the early days of hope for the future. The irony is not lost on him. Despite his moral sermons and promises to safeguard his children, he recognizes that the cycle of betrayal has struck once more, this time posing a threat to the reputation of his family and the marriage of his daughter. Brooke is aware that the conflict is imminent upon her arrival. Her voice is trembling with quiet exhaustion as she pleads, Ridge, please do not exacerbate this situation. However, Ridge responds with a low, spiteful voice, your daughter has exacerbated this situation, Brooke. Brooke's voice cracks as she pleads, Hope didn't intend for this to happen. You and your girls, you destroy everything you touch. Her tears well up immediately. Finn was vulnerable, and she was lost and lonely. They did not arrange this. For a fleeting moment, Ridge's glare softens, and a glimmer of comprehension passes through him, however, it vanishes as swiftly as it appeared. "Try telling that to Steffi," he murmurs. She is going to be in a state of absolute panic when she discovers that Finn is the father, as the results of the test indicate. Additionally, he is correct. Steffi is unraveling at the Cliff home, which is located across town. She has been pacing for hours, reliving every conversation with Finn in her mind, including every late-night shift at the hospital, every enigmatic text, and every moment she felt he was distant. She feels as though the trust that once united them is evaporating. She does not wait for Finn to settle after he returns from a shift, as he appears fatigued and haunted. "You observed Hope," she states with a straightforward approach. Finn blinks in surprise. "Steffi, but she abruptly interrupts him. "Finn, refrain from deceiving me. I am aware that you did. Ridge disclosed every detail to me." She slams a folder onto the counter, the paternity test envelope, and her voice cracks, causing tears to stream down her cheekbones. "Did you believe that I would not discover the truth?" Finn's face becomes pale as he comprehends that the truth is no longer concealable. "Steffi, I did not intend for you to discover this information in this manner." His words linger in the air, laden with remorse. She whispers, her voice scarcely audible, "So it is true. You slept with Hope." Finn endeavors to elucidate the complete picture of that night, including the guilt, grief, and human fragility, but Steffi only hears betrayal. Allegations, shattered glass, and the sound of a marriage disintegrating in real time are the result of the confrontation's escalation into pandemonium. When she eventually yells, "Exit!" it is no longer anger, it is heartbreak. Finn departs with his head lowered, his world collapsing around him. In the meantime, pandemonium is brewing behind closed doors at Forrester Creations. Zand and Paris whisper about Hope's disappearance. Thomas has failed to report to work, and RJ discreetly deletes photographs of Hope from his phone, aware that this scandal has the potential to devastate everything. Brooke attempts to organize a press conference in order to safeguard the organization, however, journalists are already acutely aware of the situation. A journalist poses the query that no one dared to ask aloud: is Hope Logan carrying Dr. Finnegan's child? Brooke's pulse races as she freezes and walks away without speaking. Carter cautions Ridge that Forrester's brand is at risk as a result of this scandal, as investors may withdraw if it becomes public. Ridge is adamant about preventing that from occurring, asserting, "We have endured far worse. We will endure this." However, the reality is that even he is uncertain. In a modest rental residence situated in close proximity to the airport, Hope conceals herself throughout the city. She is unable to respond to the calls that are continuously vibrating on her phone, including those from Brooke, Liam, and Bridget. Her mind is consumed with uncertainty, and she is scarcely eating and sleeping. A small bump that both comforts and concerns her has already begun to show, indicating that she is pregnant. The world appears to come to a halt when she finally summons the fortitude to open her laptop and video call Dr. Martin for the official paternity results. "I trust that the DNA results are in," the physician says with a compassionate yet firm tone. "The baby's father is John Finnegan." Hope's gasp is both sharp and audible, and her trembling hands cover her face as tears stream down. Although she was aware of it in her heart, hearing it spoken aloud solidifies its reality. She discreetly expresses her gratitude to the physician and concludes the conversation. She remains motionless for an extended period of time, gazing at the sonogram photograph that is affixed to her refrigerator. She murmurs to her unborn child, "You will be cherished. Even if it is solely me." The subsequent scene returns to Steffi, who is currently in her living room with Taylor. The conversation is combustible, despite the fragile calm that Taylor's presence brings. "Mother, how could he subject me to this?" Steffi weeps, grasping a throw pillow as if it were the sole source of support. Taylor gently strokes her hair, saying, "Honey, men make mistakes when they are lost." Steffi's speech is a mixture of sorrow and anger, as she shakes her head. "I've forgiven him for Sheila and for concealing things, but this?" Hope Logan is the individual in question. She is perpetually in my shadow, perpetually desiring what is mine. The weight of old wounds causes Taylor's eyes to darken. Perhaps it is time for you to cease your opposition to her, Steffi. Perhaps it is time to advocate for yourself. The counsel is highly impactful. Steffi comes to the realization that she must assume responsibility for the future of her family, in addition to her marriage. Liam unexpectedly visits Hope later that evening. He has flown to her retreat after persuading Brooke to disclose her location. He gazes at her with a mixture of compassion and anguish when she unlocks the door. "Did you truly believe that you could vanish?" he inquires gently. Hope endeavors to dismiss him, however, he advances and tenderly grasps her hands. "I am indifferent to the father's identity, Hope. I continue to harbor affection for you." His eyes reveal his sorrow, but his voice remains unwavering. "I always will." Hope shook her head. "Liam, you are entitled to a partner who does not consistently cause you to experience heartbreak." He whispers, "You are not alone," as he stares down at her belly. "I can't do this again." "You will never be alone." Their embrace is a final farewell that is camouflaged as solace. The Bold and the Beautiful delves into the aftermath in a haunting manner in the subsequent episodes. Finn, who is currently residing in a hotel on a temporary basis, encounters Lee at the infirmary. Lee's face is ablaze with rage as he admits the truth. "Have you violated your commitment to her?" She vomits. "You jeopardized everything Steffi had given you for a Logan?" Her disappointment is profound. "John, are you aware of the implications of this?" Finn's voice cracks as he says, "I didn't intend to cause anyone any harm, Mom." Lee's response is icy, "Then live with it. I made an error that I will regret for the rest of my life. However, do not anticipate that Steffi will extend forgiveness to you." In the interim, Steffi's downward decline intensifies, as she discloses to Ridge and Thomas that she is uncertain about her ability to confront Finn once more. Thomas, who is still recovering from his own sorrow, resolves to exact retribution on Finn and Hope. He bellows, "They destroyed everything." Ridge attempts to soothe him, but Thomas has lost his capacity for reason. In a shocking turn of events, he covertly employs a private investigator to monitor Hope's whereabouts, with the intention of reuniting them, not out of love, but to punish her. Months pass in Milan. Hope's career is quietly flourishing under a pseudonym, her baby bump is growing, and she is beginning to find serenity in solitude. She is depicted in a stunning montage as she strolls along the Italian littoral, creating children's clothing that is influenced by forgiveness and innocence. Her letters to Brooke and Douglas become increasingly optimistic, replete with contemplations of motherhood and destiny. However, Finn receives a single letter that she never dispatches. Within it, she expresses, "I perceive you in each heartbeat. It is possible that our offspring will do so in the future."